updates from the Matterhorn, Pixar Place and Disneyland Hotel, plus status on Fantasmic. But first, I've got a serious question about the Adventureland Treehouse. Looks like we've got some construction workers actively working on the Adventureland Treehouse. I've seen them going up and down those stairs and then working along that little walkway, the path from the center structure, the center room, over to the boys' room. And there they go. They've just moved over to the daughter's room. Let's see if we can't see what they're doing there. The one guy was just polishing the rail. So finishing touch there, so that rail would be complete, I guess, if that's the case.
She already...
Boy, it looks like they're just doing rounds to make sure that everything is ship-shape before they, say we're done here. Take another look at the daughter's room. It's still not done. We're still, I wish we could see some theming in the room itself. What if I don't know if I'm gonna have enough light in the back of the room there. Am I crazy? I'm trying to find the boys' room. There's supposed to be 3 rooms. We can see 2. We can see the daughter's room, and we can see the main room in the center for mother and father, presumably. Where's the boys' room? In the concept art, there is a 3rd room, the son's room, and it's supposed to be where the old cougar was, from Tarzan's Treehouse. That's one of the first rooms that you would see at Tarzan's Treehouse. Presumably, that's where the son's room is supposed to be, but it is not. I don't see anything there. I don't see another room at all. I can see railings, fencing, and a kind of a defined space where it should be, but I don't see the actual. You should be able to see it from here, just in the same way that you can see the other 2 rooms. And I don't think it's a situation where they can prefabricate it somewhere else and then drop it in with a crane. Well, maybe they could, but that just does not seem very. Right? When would they? Oh God. The scene, they'd have to do that overnight, obviously, but can they do that in a single day, I wonder? That's the only logical thing that I can think of, is that it's being built somewhere else, because it wasn't a complete structure before. If you recall, the little cougar room wasn't really a room at all. It was just an unfinished space where the cougars sat, but it wasn't a room, a fully complete room. Like in the same way that the daughter's room is today, and how that room that was there before was finished, or mother and father's room. I guess we'll have to stay tuned. I wonder what that means in terms of how close we are to completion. Speaking of which, I don't know why I never tried to do this before, but there are, well, not exactly knotholes, but knothole-like viewing areas along that wall, along the fenced wall, little, separations in the slats, the wood slats, and I was able to get a peek in there to see what's happening on the ground. And I've got a little bit of footage that I can show you, because it's hard to get a decent shot with the camera. You can see better with the eye. It is devastating. It does not look good down there. They are nowhere near completion, I don't think, on the areas that surround the perimeter of the treehouse. This would be the area where the little river was that we've pointed out in previous videos. You can kind of see some of the rock work is still there that created that definition for the river around the treehouse. So I'm assuming that they're going to keep that there, or at least some of it anyway. They do have to remove parts of it in order to install the water wheel, which is something that we've been talking about ad nauseum lately. But it does look like they're going to keep that little...
Hey,
Hi, how are you? So it does look like they're going to keep at least part of that, or at least that little that space to allow the river to run through there, necessary, as we've mentioned in the past, with regard to the water wheel needs a source for the water, and that would be it. Also, in the Am I Crazy department, I was here a couple weeks ago, and I had thought it felt like the walls had come out a little bit, from a little further out, closer to the walkway than they were before. But then I looked back at the old footage, and the walls were just where they were. But there's more room in that view right behind us. There's more room there than there was before. There is less than there was. Has something been removed? I need, again, to go back and look at some old footage and see if there's something like a tree or something that's been removed from there. So I just spent the last, 15, 20 minutes going through some sort of Mandela effect type situation here, thinking about the son's room and the daughter's room. And all this time I've been saying, or everybody's been understanding, that it's the daughter who has the room with the telescope. She's in like she's supposed to be an astronomer. She's SCA. And then I'm over there looking at the concept art, and it's got the son in her room, and the daughter's on the other side of the tree in the other room that hasn't been built yet. And I'm like, are we all collectively crazy? Why? So I'm doing research down there. I'm looking around. I'm like, where did we get the idea that the daughter was the astronomer? But yeah, in the initial announcement, way back in November, Disney says in the Disney Parks blog that the daughter is the astronomer and has the astronomer's lookout type room. I can't make sense of it. Why do they switch the daughter and the son in the concept art? Food for thought. Checking out Tianas Palace. Not a lot of construction happening right now. It definitely looks like they're staging, getting ready to do some extensive work down there. There's a lot more materials and prep visible than there was in the previous weeks. Can't really see anything further along, in terms of what's happening on the ground. No work has started, as far as I can tell. Everything behind the scrim is happening there. It does look like, though, that the awning area over the bit julep bar that has been stripped, it very much looks like they're prepping to repaint that or refinish that to some. This is something that we're going to be able to watch and observe and get an idea on the palette, the color scheme that's going to be used here, or the design palette as well. That's a good shot. That's really interesting. I can't wait to see how that develops. We'll also be keeping an eye on the bandstand. We reported last week that it looked like they were stripping the wood portions of that bandstand. That still appears to be the case. I'm pretty sure that that has continued. It is a little further along than it was last time we were here. We'll be keeping our eye on that as well. Meanwhile, at the Matterhorn, we have a date, June 2nd. The Matterhorn will be reopening on June 2nd. But we got a date before I even had a chance to take a lap around the monorail to see what's happening behind those walls, which we're going to be showing you here in a minute. So you're looking at maybe another 6 weeks from today, and about 7 weeks total. Not a long refurb period for the Matterhorn. It has been down longer than that, certainly in previous cases. So this does support the speculation, the assumption, the working assumption that they're doing things sort of rhythmically in stages. They'll take it down for a month or two, or 2 months in this case, just about. Do some repairs on the interiors, open it back up again, and then about 6 months from now, you'll be looking at another closure. I want to say the last one was just in the winter, right? It was closed and reopened sometime around Christmas, if I recall correctly, but I could be wrong. I'm winging it right now. But that's what I would look for. Today is, if we're in April now, reopening in June, we might see it go back down again right around the holidays. And here is that aforementioned shot of the Matterhorn update from the monorail. As I expected, you're not going to be able to see a whole lot of what's happening. There isn't a whole lot happening on the ground outside the monorail from this perspective. Nothing to see really in the queue or in the ground space around there. From the opposite side, from the Fantasyland side, same thing. We get a little better shot of what's happening there, but that's just staging. The track looks to be untouched. The queue is being untouched. There is some scaffolding. We've noticed some scaffolding up on the mountains, but that's in the usual spots. Nothing that would suggest any sort of major changes. I mean, it's a 2-month refurb, so most of what's happening, all of what's happening really is going to be backstage, I guess is the word. It's not really backstage, but not visible to the guests, not guest-facing type stuff. Update on Tortilla Joe's. We've been speculating for a while that this dining location is not long for downtown Disney. Everything I hear says it's going away. Got more confirmation of that today. From my understanding, they've been waiting to take down Tortilla Joe's until they're done with Ralph Brennan's Jazz Kitchen. That's going to be wrapping up soon, and when that happens, they will demo Tortilla Joe's. We're looking at probably a month or two is my guess. They're going to demo that, and it will be the future location of Din Tai Fung. Meanwhile, we noted last week in our update that Sprinkles, the cupcake shop, had closed and is now behind the construction walls right here. I thought, and many people thought it was a performance purpose, that they were closing it to put something else in there. That is not the case. It is my understanding now that it was closed because Disney wants to expand the future Paseo restaurants. It's going to be Paseo, where Catal was. Uva Bar is going to become Centrico. Paseo and Centrico. The Paseo portion, the Catal restaurant portion, is going to be expanded. The entrance, they're going to blow that whole area out and they're going to widen the entrance, which makes a lot of sense because I had speculated that the reason why they were updating the home store was because they wanted a new entrance for Catal. The entrance is terrible. It's tight, it's narrow, it's not very convenient. They walk you right into the kitchen practically. So it looks like the reason why they closed Sprinkles, Disney, bought them out or whatever, or just ended their lease, is so they can use that space to extend the future Paseo dining location and make it a little bit easier for guests to get in and out of there. Wasn't really expecting to do an update on the Ralph Brennan's Jazz Kitchen today. I thought we had seen as much as we were going to see for a little while, but when I was walking by, I noticed that the temporary station that they had set up to serve beignets had been removed. My guess is because they're nearing completion. According to that sign anyway, the sign says reopening soon. To me, it looks like they'll be opening up the beignet station in its old location, and then the two wings, the two dining areas will also be reopened. The one here on both sides of the entrance, and then obviously the one that's still boarded up. That was boarded up, but that will be dining service as well, or table service as well. Note also, in the center where the fountain used to be, that looks to be completely done. The tarps are down, there's no more tarp. Well, there's one tarp covering a small portion of the area, but I think they just need to get in there and clean it all up. That location, or that part of the restaurant, appears to be complete-ish. There are tables there, but I do believe that will wind up being more tables. More table service there, as opposed to something else like a bar or some other themed element. That used to be a fountain, that used to be a centerpiece that you would go around and negotiate, which was really delightful. It's gone. So I feel like we're seeing about what the Jazz Kitchen is going to wind up being. We're probably 80% there. I expect Jazz Kitchen to be open completely, probably by the end of next month. That's just a guess. Like I said, sign says reopening soon. That's got to mean something. We're stopping real quick at the Disneyland Hotel parking lot to check in on that mystery building that we reported on a while back. If you watched our latest news video the other day when we're talking about the DVC Villas, this is what you were supposed to be looking for. You guys remember when we were all very curious what that mystery building was that they were putting up here in the Disneyland Hotel parking lot? It didn't make any sense. There was a lot of speculation. Some thought it might be the new Earl of Sandwich. Others thought it might be a model for the new DVC tower that they're building at the Disneyland Hotel, which is something we're going to be checking on in a little bit. That guess appears to be pretty close. They are for the DVC tower, but they're not a model for the actual suites at the villas. When they released the concept art, I don't want to say like a month or so ago, one of the pictures that they produced was of the pool, and in that concept art for that pool, for the DVC tower pool, you could see a structure, a building that looks virtually identical to that which we see here in the parking lot. Those are cabanas, as best as I can tell. Those are cabanas, multi-level cabanas. Probably, I think I see maybe 10 or so of those cabanas, 2 stories. Each story is probably a separate unit, so and it's indoors. It reminds me a little bit of the suites that you can get at a football stadium or a baseball stadium. You've got the seats out in front of the actual suite, or the cabana in this case. A lot of what your entertainment, a lot of what you're going to be doing is going to be happening indoors inside the built structure. That's what these remind me of, are those luxury suites at a baseball stadium. What they're going to offer there, who knows, but I assume it's going to be much like the cabanas that you see already at the Grand Californian, which we just had an opportunity to enjoy. Check out our video on the Grand California cabanas. Those were delightful. But that's my guess, is that's what these are. Whether or not these are, they're prefabbing these here and then gonna drop them inside the DVC tower is yet to be determined. My guess is probably not, because they've only built the 2, that one structure. They haven't built any others, at least not here. So I don't know what the purpose is of building just this one here, because when like I said, in the concept art, it looks like they're building maybe 10 or so of those. But there you go, mystery solved. The mystery structure in the Disneyland Hotel parking lot. The DVC Villas are set to open in late September, so we're able to see construction begin to wind down a little bit here at the Disneyland Hotel. From this view, we can see that the right side of the building, where the majority of the rooms are, still behind scrim. Most likely to finish final touches on the windows and paint, I'm sure. While the left side, with the larger villas, are nearing completion. Those top 2 units, those are the large 3-bedroom grand villas that are the centerpiece of the hotel. Those are still under scrim and scaffolding as well. Those 2 units that we're looking at there will be going for around 100 points a night, or something like $6,000 per night if you're a cash guest. but they are perhaps the most unique, singular, one-of-a-kind hotel suite I've personally ever seen on a Disney property. Stopping over at the Pixar Place Hotel, well, soon to be Pixar Place Hotel, currently still the Paradise Pier Hotel. There have been a few updates on the building. The rear structure still looks half complete. It's still a mix of the white color and the beige color. The white color looks a lot better now that you see it next to each other. It makes you appreciate how unattractive the old color scheme used to be. Loving the new white. Meanwhile, inside, there's not a lot of changes happening. This first one is from the future lobby of the Pixar Place Hotel with the Pixar-themed mobile. This one's showing the front of the building, the front of the structure. Note these colored like buttons or whatever that they have in there. I paid no mind to those before, but they have been installed now in the exterior of the Pixar Place Hotel, which we got a shot of. Interesting choice as far as theming goes, but it adds a little color, a little more character to the outside of the building, I presume. You can also see in this art that there's a new awning that they're building over the drop-off area in front of the hotel. That is now being constructed. They have completely stripped the old one down. They're building that one from scratch. We're in the steel phase, which is good. That's we're not far from a finished product there. And then finally, we have our first actual sort of sign of the new Pixar theme, the music that they're playing, the acoustic music that they play as you walk up to what is now currently the entrance to the hotel. Previously, like the back entrance, but they're now playing Pixar music here rather than regular Disney music. Pixar themed music out in the walkways in front of the hotel at the entrance. Well, I'm on the Rivers of America Fresh Bake. This is the first time that I've been here at this location since the incident 2 days ago. Hi guys, how are you? It's really weird being here, just saying that up front, that I'm still having trouble reconciling the fact that we've lost Murphy. But I do have some updates for you on the immediate future of the island and of the Fantasmic show. It was reported, I don't know what day it is, but by the time I get this out, but it was reported that Fantasmic would be showing again on Friday. That is not the case. At least I don't believe that will be the case. When they're able to bring back Fantasmic and the B mode depends entirely on how long it takes for that scrim to go away, because behind that scrim is Murphy. Murphy is still there. There was considerable damage, not just to the animatronic itself, but also, the mechanism, the apparatus that lifted, rose Murphy and then lowered her again when she was done with her part of the show. Murphy's still there. They can't get her below stage. It's my belief that they're going to have to take it apart. They're going to have to take her apart, and that could take a while. They're going to take her apart just so they can close the door that opens for her to come out. And there's a Mark Twain coming up right behind me. So I'm not expecting Fantasmic to return anytime soon. I don't know how long it takes to dismantle, a 15-foot mechanical dragon. So, that could be a while. Certainly it's not as simple as just lowering her back below stage, as I mentioned. That's going to be a difficult task. We'll know when it's time, when that green screen comes down. When that screen comes down, then they've completed that effort. Now, with regard to the belief that the show is going to be resuming on Friday, that was going around, and we reported this on Instagram as well. Probably by now you've already seen a story, hopefully, or a reel that we've updated that bit of info. But that was going around because the show calendar, has Fantasmic running at 9 p.m. and 10:30 p.m. this Friday the 28th. And I was about to report that in this update, I was going to say, look for Fantasmic on Friday, but that is not the case. What's happening there is that they just haven't updated the calendar yet. It's showing that there's no show on Thursday or Wednesday or Tuesday or anything like that because they weren't having weekday shows at this point anyway. Even if Murphy were alive and well, there would be no show today. There would be no show on Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. So it looks like it's a resumption, but it really isn't. Disney just has not updated the show calendar on the website as of yet. I'm kind of shocked that they haven't. Now, with that whole stage area that exists on Tom Sawyer Island, that whole area is now under repair, closed to the public. That makes the entire island inaccessible. They cannot open Tom Sawyer Island until they are able to repair Murphy there and take that scrim down. Well, actually, I take that back. They probably... Hi, guys. Congratulations. They probably could open the island before they finish that, but not until they figure out a way to section off. Hi guys. They would have to find a way to section off that part of the island, which they've done in the past. most recently when they were updating Fantasmic before it had returned, there was a long stretch there where you couldn't dock the Tom Sawyer rafts here because of all the repairs they were doing to the island. So they took the rafts down to the other end, down that way, and they boarded over there by the opposite end of the island. Not sure if they have plans to do that anytime soon. Again, they have to first figure out where they can section off the island and figure out what part of that island is accessible. Clearly, the treehouse on the top of the hill, that area would be closed off, and obviously the stage area, where Murphy exists. That I don't think will take too long. One thing you might want to look out for if you're here or see it in social medias or whatever, if they start doing the raft testing where they run it around the entire island. That was kind of neat, actually. It was a nice little tangent from their normal raft rides. There were certain times of day, if there was a lot of boat traffic, if they were running the Mark Twain and the canoes, then the rafts would have to, in order to come back from the island, they would have to go all the way around. They would go all the way, and then they'd come back from this side, because you can't have two-way traffic. You can only go in one direction in the river, and that's, that way. That could be as soon as maybe in a couple days. We might see something like that. And finally, San Francisco. Just doing a quick check to see if there's anything new developing here. The only thing I found out here is this. I'm not sure if this is new or not. It might be new to me. Their little San Francisco sign here, proud home of something. To be determined what it is the proud home of. No change here at Avengers Campus, Avengers HQ. Just a bunch of walls so far. No signs of any further progress on the presumed gift shop happening here. And that's our update for this week, guys. Stay tuned for more from Fresh Baked, as we've got updates just like this every week here at Fresh Baked. Until next time, thanks for watching. Be safe, be kind, and Fresh Baked.